All right. We're going to start talking about factoring and factoring out a GCF. Someone raise your hand and tell us what GCF stands for. What three little words does it mean? Briggs, what do you think? Greatest common factor. And what I need everyone to do is read those words a couple times and really think about what does it mean to be the greatest common factor.
It does.
I don't know what that means. Okay.
High funding.
All right. We're going to find the greatest common factor of a polynomial and then use the distributive property to factor polynomials. All right. I ask you guys to find the greatest common factor of 24, 12, and 48. What does it mean? I mean, a lot of you guys can see it already. What are we looking for? Kevin, word it.
The biggest number that goes into all three of them.
That's a good way to say it. We're looking for the biggest number, guys, that goes into all three of 24, 12, and 48. How many of you guys can see it already? Know what it is?
Let's see.
All right, that's the next thing. Okay, we will fingers up in the air.
I see it.
You got to get to, you want to be able to see it.
Not gonna
And you guys have really good number sense, so you guys will be seeing the greatest common factor, I think, pretty easily. All right, let's do all the factors of these and watch how it is what you guys think it is. Let's do 24 over here. Right? Basically, just start with the number one, and just go up by every number and ask yourself, does it go into 24? For example, does 1 go into 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure it does. How about 2?
Yes.
Yes. How about 3?
Yeah.
Do you guys know how, besides just being smart and knowing that 3 goes into 24, do you know how to tell if a 3 goes into a number?
Divide 25. Oh.
You add
Divided by 3 and if it works out
Add them up and
You
then
add them.
it goes.
Yeah, you add the digits. I mean, you guys all know that 3 goes into 24 8 times, but what's 2 plus 4?
6.
Does 3 go into 6?
Yeah.
Then 3 goes into 24. Use that little trick for big numbers. All right, how about 4?
Yeah.
5?
Nope.
No, 5 does not go into it. Don't worry. 6?
Yeah.
7?
Nope.
No.
8?
I see, yeah.
9?
No, 9.
10?
10 I see.
11?
No.
12?
Yeah.
Once you get halfway there, you're done. You know why? Because anything that's more than halfway,
Oh yeah.
you can't go into it
If you
evenly.
multiply for-
So you start at 12 and then you go to 24. Because 24 goes into it. All right, do the same thing for 12. Okay. Common factors: 1, 2 goes into it, 3 goes into it, 4 goes into it, 5 doesn't. 6, I'm halfway there, done. Write down 12. Okay. See how fast you can do 48. Go. There's kind of a number in the teens that goes into 48 besides 12. Make sure you get that one. 1 goes into it. Does 2 go into it?
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
5,
No.
6,
Yeah.
7,
Nope.
no, 8,
Yep.
9, 10, 11,
No.
12,
Yeah.
13.
16. No.
Ah, the next one is 16. That's the hard one to figure out. How'd you know 16 went into it?
Times 3.
That's new.
Because it's times 3. Guys, believe it or not, these will always pair up as well. All right, 16, 24, 48.
So then if you go in the middle
Okay.
and you branch out, they all equal like
I mean, we
1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16.
Oh.
call it the rainbow method. Makes a rainbow.
Oh.
Okay. All right. What's the greatest common factor of all 3 numbers? Briggs. 12. Okay. How many people saw that 12 was going to be the greatest common factor right off the bat?
Maybe like right
That's great. That means you have good number sense. That's what you got to be doing. Please do not write all this work out for every problem. It'll take you forever to do your homework. Okay. You got to start seeing them.
Oh my God.
Now, what do we add to this, guys? That might be a little tricky or might be new.
Exponents.
What's that? Exponents are on what?
Variable.
The variables. Yeah, we're going to add variables to this. And believe it or not, adding variables to it is easier with variables.
So easy.
Variables are easier,
It's debatable.
right? Now, what you're going to do, what we're going to do for this one, and then we're going to talk about it, is how to get it, is just expand the exponent part. For example, if you expanded a squared b squared, what would that look like with no exponents on it? Just the a squared b squared.
24 baby.
24.
Just the exponent part. A times times B times B. How about, what is that? A cubed B to the fifth. What did I write?
A times A times A times B times B times B times B times B.
3 A's and 5 B's. Everybody agree? Okay. Do the same thing with the last one.
You got stung by 5 bees?
A, B, C. Yo, goofball brother, relax. Okay. Now, circle any common factors, because those variables are factors. Okay? Somebody raise their hand and give me one thing that's common between all three. Olson.
They all have A's. They
How
all
many-
have 2 A's in a row.
Okay. They all have 2 A's. Okay. Why didn't you circle through? This one has 3 A's. That one has 4 A's.
Because all of them have to be the same, so if one of them has 4 and the other one has 2, that has to stay.
Yeah, only 2 of them count, right? So that's what. Anything else, Al?
They all have B.
Anything else? That's common?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Okay. So variable wise, what's the GCF? Just the variable part.
Oh, is it A squared?
A squared.
B.
A squared B. How did you get that?
You added them up. Well, you added the. You could just take one and say like.
Well, I mean, how did you get A squared B? You didn't add anything.
Well, A and A is A squared and B.
A times B makes A squared B. So, what's the greatest common factor of the whole thing now?
12 A squared.
12. A squared B. And you're going to have to practice with the variables, guys, until you get it. And eventually you will get it, believe it or not. So, 12A squared B. Basically, here's how do I want to say that? It's the variables with the exponents, it's the least amount of them in each spot that counts. Notice, the least amount of A's is squared. The least amount of B's is just one B on the last P. And then the least amount of C's is that there's there's 0 C's in the first 2 pieces. That's why there's no C's there. So that's one way to think about it. Okay? Now, talking about seeing this stuff. McNulty already did the first one.
I got the second.
What was the greatest common factor, Kev, of that first one? Everybody look at it. And try to, in your head, figure out what the greatest common factor, see it. 27y squared and 18y. 9y. Why isn't it 9y squared, Kev?
It's just one.
The second one only has 1 y.
Right, there's no y, there's not a y squared common in the second part. All right, the next one,
I got this.
I got it.
see it. What's the greatest common factor?
On the next one.
Cube on.
3.
3. How come no variables, Al?
Because, there's no W in the 3 and there's no V in the 15.
Yeah, there's no common variable between the two. It's just 3 that can happen. Okay? Look at the next one carefully. See it. What's the greatest common factor of those 3 terms? Nico, what do you think?
Just UV.
UV.
I feel like those. That's a good trick.
How come no number, Nico?
Because only
Oh.
1 goes into 1.
Yeah, there's no number in the last part. That would be common with everything.
I got 4.
Okay? All right, last one, 4. Look at it carefully. Try to get the number. Try to get the variables. Do your, see it. Henry, what do you think?
Trying to figure out 36.
Oh, you can use your calculator, guys, if you need to. I don't have a problem with that. Again. Look, he said something smart. He said that one, does 36 go into 81? No.
I have to do
Would
it.
be P MQ.
No, there's going to be numbers that are part of the answer here because there's a number that goes into 36 and 81. There's a common factor of 36, 36, and 81. Natalie, what do you think? 9p. 9 goes into all of them, and then notice the only variable, guys, is in the last piece, P, and then there's a P in the first one and the second one, so I know the P's part of the GCF. That's the only part, and then 9 goes in up.
I still
Okay.
smell that fondue.
All right, that's just the beginning, finding the GCF. Now we're going to factor. I know that you guys are thrilled to death with finding GCF. Now we're going to, what do you think?
Factor.
Factor.
First of all,
Well, that first
We're going to
step's
factor
general.
out a GCF. What does factor mean? I think Ms. Perlow typed up the same word a couple times here, so what I want you guys to do is, it means to express a polynomial as, after the word as, cross off a polynomial as. I think she just typed that in twice when she shouldn't have. So cross off those 3 words in that third line down, a polynomial as. So I think it makes sense now. What does factor mean? It means to express a polynomial as the product. What operation does product mean, people?
multiplication.
Multiplication of monomials and polynomials. So we're going to factor out a monomial. Basically, we're going to use the distributive property in reverse.
Well, that means you go.
Yeah, you got to make the opposite symbol. Fine. Opposite sound too, Kev.
That's
Okay.
that it's a whoosh.
She calls it distributive property in reverse. I call it the undistributive property. Same thing. I'm going to probably call it the undistributive property.
That's more fun. I like that.
Now, to do these problems, here's what you're going to do. First, you're going to find the GCF. You will get amazingly good at that after a few problems. Amazingly good at it. Secondly, put the GCF in front of and open up some parentheses. Basically means it looks like the distributive property. Now, it's your job to find out what is left in the parentheses if the GCF is pulled out. Some math teachers call it, you're pulling the GCF out, write this down. Divide each term by the GCF. Once we do one example, you'll be like, oh, that's pretty simple.
I think I did.
Okay? Third, write what is left in the parentheses. After you divide each term by the GCF, you're going to write what that they call that the leftovers in the parentheses. Fourth, check your answer by distributing. You'll do that in your head. It's really pretty simple. All right, let's do a couple of these, and again, you'll be amazed at how fast you get it. So, 100 r to the fourth plus 70 r cubed. Everybody find the GCF in your head right now. What's the greatest common factor of those 2 pieces? Again, guys, pieces are separated by plus and minus signs, so there's 2 pieces here. Henry, GCF.
10.
Way more than that. Well, number-wise, that's right, but the variables count.
Oh,
Oh.
100. 10 R cubed.
Correctamundo, 10r cubed. Does everybody agree with that? Nice job, Henry. Okay? You're gonna think, so, you will not write this step out. You won't write GCF. You're going to start with it right here. 10r cubed, and then start a parenthesis. Now, divide each piece by 10r cubed. And that's the stuff that's left that goes inside the
So
parentheses.
10R.
So what's 100 r to the fourth divided by 10r cubed? Again, I would not expect you to write it down.
10R with some.
10R.
I think it's 10r
Yeah, but we'll choose 10.
Oh yeah.
plus, because what do you do with your exponents, guys?
Oh yeah. Subtract.
Subtract them. Very good. Plus, what's 70r cubed divided by 10r cubed?
7.
7.
And then. wouldn't it be-
And your parenthesis,
Yeah, just,
box it. And now, here's what you have. Besides checking your work by doing the distributive property, I want you guys to look inside the parentheses. Okay? What's inside the parentheses here?
10R plus 7.
What would you say is true about 10r plus 7?
Oh, it's a binomial.
It's a binomial, agreed. But think about all this factoring stuff we've talked about today. What's true about 10r plus 7?
They're the greatest
There's no greatest common factor. It is,
least.
what's it called when you
Simplified.
can't simplify it? It's simplified, but the word is, guys, and you will write it down, that stuff in the parentheses is
Prime number.
prime. You can't do anything to it. You can't factor it anymore. So 10r plus 7 is prime. There is a greatest common factor, actually. What is it? 1. So you want the stuff in the parentheses can only have a greatest common factor of
All
1.
prime numbers, the GCF is 1.
Yes. All prime. This would actually be a
Oh,
prime
prime.
polynomial or prime binomial. So that's what you're doing. And again, check your work
Prime
by
big.
distributing. There's always one kid that does this. Do not do this. Big rule. 10r to the 4th, 100r to the 4th. I don't go 10r to the 4th. Watch, 100r to the 4th plus 70r cubed, and they box that as their answer.
So I would have done.
Do not do that, kid. That's the problem. That's not the answer. But checking it. And again, just check it in your head, guys. You're smart enough to just
That's
check it in
the
your head.
answer?
In the blue box is the answer.
Oh, that's so easy.
You just factored it. And again, it's not a bad idea to have calculators if you feel like you're not confident with dividing yet. Nico, your skills are way better than you give yourself credit for. Okay? Guys, guess what happens if both pieces are not negative?
And it's a negative answer.
It's a negative GCF. Only if every piece is negative. In fact,
What
so
if one's
who's got the GCF?
Yes, what if one's negative, one's positive?
Then it's always be positive because the negative sign's not common between the two.
Um,
Let's go, look at it. What's the GCF of negative 32 x to the 5th minus 72x? Sonaro?
8. Yeah, negative.
Okay, variables count, remember that?
Negative 8x.
Nice. Negative 8x is the GCF. Now divide each piece, Sean, by negative 8. X.
So negative 4x to the 4th.
I don't know why you're saying a negative sign.
Oh, yeah. And then
Wait, isn't it negative 4x?
minus 9
Plus.
Plus.
plus 9.
Is the stuff in the parentheses prime.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay? And guys, here's why you have to take that check. We can't take anything else away. We can't divide anything else into the 4x to the 4th plus 9 except for 1. Because here's what kids do. They go like this. The GCF's negative 2x. And then they say it's 16x to the 4th plus 36. They didn't take out the greatest common factor. They took out a common factor, but not the greatest one. Is this stuff in the parentheses prime?
No.
What else can come out of it?
2, 4, 8, and
A 4.
Anything.
And then multiply, you get negative 8, and then it would be 4x to the 4th plus 9. So you can actually factor it twice. Sometimes if you don't catch the greatest common factor, but catch that it can be factored again, you'll actually get that final answer in 2 steps instead of 1. All right, factor that next one. Go. This one, the greatest common factor is a positive number because both pieces are not negative. Miss Madeline, what's the GCF? 4. Sweet. Divide both pieces by 4. You need something there at the end.
She said plus.
Plus 1.
She said.
Yeah, I can never hear that girl. I can't read her writing and I can't hear. So plus 1. You need that plus 1 at the end, guys, as a little placeholder, so that when you distribute back, you get a plus 4 there. And you check it. Next one. Trupinski. What about variables?
She said X.
Okay, speak up, guys. Speak up. Or Kevin's just lying for all you guys, making you guys look good.
No.
All right, what's left? Divide each piece by 6x, Natalie. Plus 2y.
2,
Very good. Is the stuff in your parentheses, Natalie, prime? Yeah. 3x plus 2y, nothing else can come out of it, you factored it correctly.
I can do 9.
Get it? Oh, now we got a trinomial. A lot of stuff going on there. What's the GCF? Go ahead, Albano. Go ahead. Why is it what? Oh, no, it's supposed to be squared. I just wrote it wrong.
Yeah.
Number 7, guys, it was negative 2p squared in the parentheses. I put to the fourth or something. I think I was looking at that
Even if
fourth.
it's a trinomial and there's only one negative, it'd be still positive.
Right.
And
It
if
has to
there's
be
2 negatives, in a
still be
trinomial,
positive. All the pieces have to be negative. Factor out a negative. Albano, what would be the GCF, do you think, of numero 9? To the 5th. Very good. 2b to the 5th. There's a b to the 5th in all of them. Divide all the pieces by 2b to the 5th. Sophia. 3b to the 5th. Very good. Just b. You don't have to write to the first. Plus 3. Nice job. Is the stuff in the parentheses Sophia prime?
How do you know if it's a prime?
Is there anything else you can take out of it?
Like
Is there,
what?
is there a greatest common factor of the 3 pieces in the parentheses? That's what means it's prime. It can't be factored anymore. Go ahead, Aaron.
Why would it be negative? Because there's an odd number of negative signs.
No, it's for just the number itself.
Like the GCF.
Well, the only time you're going to take out is there a negative sign common to all 3 of them? No, so that's not part of the greatest common factor. Only if a negative sign were common to all 3 of them,
I
you
think
take it
it's
out.
saying in the middle.
The signs just stay the same when you don't
What if it's
factor
prime?
negative.
You just went prime?
Should we write prime?
What's that?
Should we write prime?
Yeah, you write the word prime if you can't
Oh,
factor
on
it.
the answer.
None of these are prime though.
Is 11?
11, there's some variables that come out of it.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Variables count. But I would agree, the numbers, Al, no
Yeah.
number, there's
I just
no,
looked at the numbers and I forgot.
right. -2, 8, and 9, there's no greatest common factor there. But hey, let's back up to 10.
Okay, I got 11.
Melitza, what's the GCF numero 10? 5. No variables. I love it when one piece doesn't have a variable, doesn't have any variables, then there's no variables that are part of the GCF. Divide each piece by 5, Melitza. -10a plus 4a squared plus 9. Done. Is the stuff in the parentheses?
I got 11.
Is the stuff in the parentheses prime, guys?
I got 12. I'll take 12.
Okay. All right, McNulty, give us 11.
Okay, YZ times the quantity of
Oh, the GCF is only YZ? Interesting. I think he's correct.
Yeah, it is.
Sweet. Divide it all by YZ now.
negative 2yx minus 8y squared plus 9x.
Nice. Is the stuff in the parentheses, Kevin, prime?
Of course.
No numbers come out of it. There's not a Y in the last part. There's not an X in the middle part. It's done. Okay, last one. Who wanted to try this one? Cubon, give it a shot.
The
GCF is
7xz
7xz. You are correct, Mundo.
times for parentheses 3x squared z y to the 3rd
Nice.
plus 3y squared plus
Beautiful. Plus
4.
4. That was a tough one. Cubon, you zip through that no problem.
Alright, homework.
Okay?
Homework?
My people thought that was pretty easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh my.
You've got